Hey there builders, it is Dajaway here again with another video in my Blocksworld Decoded series. I think I've pretty much exhausted the game block. If there's any questions you have about it, please leave me comments in my YouTube videos and I will be able to answer them for you. So today we are in my little castle, which to be totally honest is not done yet, but it's going to be my little project castle. Anyway, what I've got for you today are toggle switches. And toggle switches are basically something that just turns something on and off and stays on and then turns off. So the easiest one I have here is the middle one that's actually on my podium here. And that's pretty simple. I've got other ones here that work a couple of different ways. So the one on, if I can actually get to it here. Oh, that's right, I turned that one off. So I have the one on the right, which basically just turns it the other direction. You click on it again and it's off. And if you notice the difference in just the buttons, other than the texture, the one in the middle stays green, and then when I tap on it again, it turns red. And then the one on the right, if I tap it, I just have to tap it. It turns back to red, and it still does turn. And then I tap it again, and it stops. The one on the left, I totally forgot, is a hold button to basically bring the motor back home. So if I hold it, it just brings it back home. I can spin it, and then hold the left one, and it comes back home. Turn this on just with a tap and it'll turn. And there's a lot of reasons to use toggle switches, either for doors or moving platforms or lasers, anything. Fire, gas, water, jets, whatever. And what I'm going to go through really quickly is the programming or the coding for each of them. And some of them are easier than others. So in any case, what I've got, don't pay any attention to that block yet. So on the regular toggle switch, and the signals are going to be slightly different for each of them, and don't worry about that. I basically had to name them differently just so that they wouldn't interfere with each other and the motor. So in this one, it's a basic button. When on the top, when you tap and it's red, it turns green. And when you tap when it's green, it turns red. Now, when it's green, you can see in the third line down here, it turns on, which is what starts the motor, because in the motor's coding, on the top line, you can see on makes it turn, and I made it fast so that it was distinguishable from the other ones. And that's pretty simple, because when this gets tapped and it's green, or it's red and turns green, it starts turning the motor with that signal. And that's a fairly simple toggle switch. And feel free to copy the coding and everything else. It works really, really well. Now, there are reasons why the second one is a lot better to use for certain situations. This one is just literally the hold function, which is right here, top middle in your actions. And it turns on 4, which just does the home. I could make that do anything, really, if I wanted to. I could make it step, right? I have to wander back in there real quickly. And I'm going to take some time on the third one because it is a little bit more complicated, but it is a lot, there's a lot of uses for it. So turn on, and if I hold that other one, right, it now steps instead of returning home. And that's pretty simple. So I want to get into the third button and the coding for that, because it is a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure you'll be able to find uses for it. Now, the uses for this third one, you know, I keep mentally trying to figure it out, and I've tried to do this like 100 times. There's tons of uses for it because it just uses a very basic function of Blocksworld to turn on and off signals. So the third button here, the programming for that is basically 2 reds and the green. So, and I wouldn't even necessarily need to code it this way, but I did, and so we'll just have to deal with that for the moment. So when you tap it and it's red, which is how it starts out, it goes to green and it sends on 3 out as a global signal. It waits and then it turns the darker red, mostly because you're not going to notice it as much. You can tell, like when I tap on it, you really aren't going to notice the difference too much, unless there's 2 of them right together. Sorry about the speech bubble, I'm using it for something else. But then when I tap it again, right, it goes back to the normal red after the green. So the reason for that, now on 3 gets sent to another block, which I've put behind us here so you don't really see it. And it has the invisible texture on it, which is this one right here. You can make anything invisible, and it's got that on it. So now it hides, right? So when a block is hidden, it is not sending out any signals. So it's an automatic binary system where if it appears, it's going to do something, but if it's hidden, it automatically shuts off. So you can see here, it hides it first, so it's not sending out any signal. Now, when that button is pushed, it sends on 3 to make it appear. And then when it appears, it does on 2, which then goes, this right here goes to the motor. I'll show you in a second. And then when you push the button a second time, it makes it hide. It sends the signal off and it makes this hide. It's a little bit of I don't want to call it a resource, but it's a little bit action heavy. But there are tons of uses for this. You can use a binary on-off for thousands upon thousands of things. And there aren't a lot of people that use it. And I think the coding gets really, really heavier when you don't use something like that. And so, I was going to show you the motor. In the motor, whoa, way off course there, sorry. So on 2 turns the other direction, right? So on came from our toggle switch that was in the middle here, and then on 2 comes from the block. And it works just like another toggle, but it works so that it can shut completely off by hiding that invisible block. And I'll show you, even when, you can't see it because it's hidden here, but you know it's here because we just saw it. And then if I press the button and it gets going, because it's getting the signal from this block back here, it's still invisible. So you don't have to make it invisible. You can make it change colors or what have you, and put it somewhere in the scenery or behind a mountain. I like making it invisible better because you can have it right next to it, and if you have to fix anything, it's right there for you to go ahead and do that. And so that is my toggle switch video for the moment. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comments down below. Be sure to go into Blocksworld and look up me. I'm Dajawe, D-A-J-A-W-E. Make sure you follow me and bookmark my stuff so that you can have access to it. And you'll see all my new worlds when they come out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and bell my YouTube channel. That way you can see all the new videos when they come out. I hope this helps, and as always, like it if you like it. Dajawe out.